right here, right now, we're going to have a look at this pen. This pen was kindly lent to me by Right Here, a pen company in the UK. And this is a pen that is made exclusively for them by the brand SCRIBO. Now, SCRIBO, just to talk a tiny bit about them, SCRIBO makes pens, and SCRIBO is made up of a number of the ex-employees of OMAS. So OMAS unfortunately went under, and Luca Baglione and a couple of other people from OMAS have started this company to make these pens, and it's called SCRIBO. So SCRIBO made an exclusive pen for Right Here, Shrewsbury in the UK, and today we're going to have a look at that. So I borrowed these pens, and we should see what these are all about. Right here. So this is the box. Should you buy one, your SCRIBO will come in. And I like this. I like this box because it's a simple box. I'm not a collector of boxes. I just want something that holds the pen, and that's it. I know people have different opinions about that. I know some people like giant boxes. I personally don't care. This is all I need. Now, one thing that's cute and that you should pay attention to is this lime green, right? That's the Right Here Shrewsbury logo, and that's also reflected in the pen. I'll show you that in a sec. Box opens, pen goes in, nothing fancy. No hidden layers, nothing, just that. Close that gently to not blow your ears off. Here's a little information booklet, comes with the pen. Has some history of the pens, where they're made in Bologna, sold in Shrewsbury. So that's quite nice. Some information on the design, etc. I like it. I think it's a simple, nice booklet with all the information you need. So that's very nice. Now, what you want to see is the pen. So let's go over the pen. John very kindly lent me two. One with a flex nib, one with a broad nib, and I have no idea which is which by looking on the outside, so let's just start. At the top of the pen is this finial, which is, of course, let's see, I aligned that properly. It's that nib. It's that same nib that you see here in the Right Here logo. So it's nice that they have that in there, and it's in relief. So that's quite nice. We have the clip, simple clip. Works well, nice and springy. I'll try to show off that material a bit. As you can see, that's quite nice. You have some nice. I always forget this word, chatoyance. I always call it marbling, but that nice light effect, which is quite cool. It reminds me of rainy skies, like a very cloudy, overcast days, which may be a negative association, but for me, I think it's kind of that deep dark grey that the color of the clouds can have. Okay, then here, I don't know if you can read that. It's always hard to not make it reflect, but it says SCRIBO Italy. And here on the other side of the center band it says Right Here. Barrel tapers down gently, and here you have that lime green that I told you about. That's part of the Right Here logo. Piston turning knob, and on the piston turning knob is the number. So this pen happens to be 46 out of 50. This one happens to be 28 out of 50. Pen unscrews, and then you have this nib and feed. Feed is ebonite, great, conducts ink very well, it's very nice. And the nib is definitely very OMAS in style, has that same fairly narrow shape, which I've always enjoyed quite a bit. Just for my own edification, yeah, this is the 14K flex nib, I think. And then this must be, or do I have it the other way around? No, that's the 14K flex nib, and this is the 18K, but the 8 was actually filled in with a bit of ink. Sorry. So this is the 18K broad nib, and this is the 14K flex nib. Okay, let me close those back up so I don't confuse the caps. Section, as you can see, quite a bit of a step down from the barrel right there, which is a bit substantial. It's a little sharp, but the section is really quite large, so I don't think there's an issue with anyone really getting their fingers cut on this or anything. So that's quite nice. Again, same material in the section as is on the barrel and the cap, which I always think is a plus. It just looks nice consistency, and that's something I really enjoy. The threads are not at the back there, but about there. This is something Omas used to do a lot, and I've always kind of liked that. You feel the threads a little bit. I don't find them particularly sharp, and as someone with a slightly larger hand, I think this is actually a pretty nice size of section, because I find it very comfortable to hold. The pens do not post, so you cannot post it. They're just meant to be used as they are. I'll try to put a close-up of the nib on the website, because it's always hard to show that off. I mean, I can try to zoom in a little bit to show you the pattern on the nib, but it's always quite reflective, so it's not that easy to show that off. So there is that. Let's see these pens in action. There's one thing I wanted to point out. I don't know if you can really see it. You see that blue here? That's actually not ink on the outside of the section, but ink on the inside of the section. So I think between the nib collar and the outside of the nib collar and the inside of the section, a little bit of ink gets trapped, and the material is translucent enough to show that off. And I know that some people would be put off by that. I don't really care, but some people have let me know in the past that they hate these sorts of things. So just so you know, that is something you could expect if you were to use this pen. Now then, let's do a bit of writing. For the writing, I have selected Visconti turquoise. So here we have the SCRIBO right here pen. This is the broad 18K nib. It's definitely an actual broad, and as I said, the ink is Visconti turquoise. Writing is smooth, which is quite nice. Pleasant writing sensation, bit of fast writing. And as you can see, feed keeps up really nicely with the writing. Nice wet writer too. Line variation. Always very, very careful. But you can see you can squeeze out the tiniest bit of line variation, which is actually quite pleasant. For those of you who enjoy such a thing, you can turn this nib upside down and write. It's not particularly scratchy, it works. This is a broad nib, and it happens to be just a tiny bit stubby, as you can see. A broader downstroke and narrower side stroke, so you still end up with a stubby type nib that is not much finer when you turn it upside down. Okay, now I just wanted to quickly show you this as well. I'm not going to go through all of these tests again, but this is the 14K flexi nib. I'm always a bit wary of that. Be careful, because it's never vintage flex, so you can actually spring nibs, in my experience, the more modern nibs that claim to be flex nibs. Here too, nicely tuned nib on the wet side of things. Ebonite feeds are amazing, so that is really nice. Very nice, good, steady supply of ink. This pen, this nib has that right here logo engraved on it, which I think is very cool too. But I know what you really want to see, and that is, does it flex? Well, that's as far as I'm willing to push this, and that's already quite some pressure, so be careful. But as you can see, you can definitely squeeze out line variation. So I will say, for a modern flex nib, sorry for the horrid writing, but I'm reaching around a tripod here. That's my excuse. Anyway, there's definitely line variation to be had with this. So I very much look forward to SCRIBO putting out more pens in the future with flex nibs. I think this will be very interesting. And even though I'm typically a broad nib type guy, I could live with this 14K flex nib. It's really quite nice. So there is that. Guys, I hope this was useful so far. Let's look at what I like about the pen and what I not like about the pen. As to the writing sample, that was the end. Okay, so what do I like about it and what do I not like about it? Well, starting off with the things I like about it. I think these pens have a couple of things going for them that are really quite nice. When it comes to the nibs, I definitely get the same feeling I got from an Omas pen. An ebonite feed, very good ink flow, a nice smooth nib, whether it is this 18 karat broad or the 14 karat flexi nib. They write pleasantly, although I will say I found the broad nib a little skippy now and again. So I like that. The grey material, sorry, pardon me. The grey material is nice. Has some nice marbling to it, which I think is quite attractive. I also like the range of nib options. Extra fine through broad, and then a 14K flex option. I think that pretty much covers the whole range of nibs that people could desire. So I think that's really great too. And of course, not talking about the pen, but talking about the company, I think it's great to see that Omas or ex-Omas employees are working on pens again, because to me, Omas has always been a very nice brand that makes really nice pens. So it's nice to see that back in action again. Okay, things I don't like about it so much. As I said, I found that broad nib to be a little skippy, especially on smoother paper. It is very smooth, but it also tends to skip a little bit. So that's a bit of an issue. I cannot say these pens give me the exact same feeling Omas pens did. I'm not sure if that is maybe the choice of the material as opposed to the very attractive celluloids that Omas often used. Maybe it's the pen design. I find it a little blocky. There's not a whole lot of features that stand out visually to me. But that's a very subjective thing, of course. I'm sure there are people who would love this design and who also love the grey. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with the grey. It's a pretty material. It's just not... It doesn't have the feeling of Omas to me. But you also have to be careful with that, because they're not Omas pens. Even if they're made by employees who used to work for Omas, this is SCRIBO. It's a new brand with new pens. The final thing I would say is, at $630, depends a little bit on exchange rate, but that's about the price. That's quite a lot for an acrylic pen. It's not celluloid. It is a piston filler. It does have a gold nib. It is a limited edition to 50 pens, which is quite limited. So all of these things will put the price up a little bit, but I find them fairly pricey for what they are. Of course, as always, it's up to you to decide whether that is a price you're willing to pay for it. And as I said, it is a limited edition pen, so the price will always be a bit higher than a regular production pen. Having said all that, I think they're very interesting pens. I definitely wish Right Here the best of luck in this effort. I think they're cool pens. The nibs are very reminiscent of Omas, so that's very nice, very pleasant writers. And that's all there's to it. So I hope this was useful. Again, a very kind thank you to John for lending me the pen, and that's all there's to it. Bye bye.
Bye.